Right, I'd now like to introduce contestant number 4. She is in the Kerikeri High School Jazz and Concert Bands. In 2013, she won the Senior Impromptu Speech Contest out of years 11, 12 and 13, as well as the school's Senior Gothic Horror Creative Writing Competition. She's played for the Northland Hockey under-13 and under-15 teams, loves metal music and comic books, and dedicates this speech to her great-grandfather and great-great-uncle and his cousin who served in the Battle of Passchendaele. From Kerikeri High School, please welcome Caitlin Thomas with Spirit of New Zealanders at War.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, in a foreign field he laid, lonely soldier, unknown grave. On his dying words, he prays, tell the world of Passchendaele. We all have the stories to tell. Grandparents, uncles and aunts, cousins and parents. Stories of bravery, from famous heroes like Sir Charles Upham, to closer, more personal stories of friends, of relatives, and of memories, whether it was 100 years ago or in recent times. New Zealanders at war have made our futures possible. But of course, while they assisted in making life as we know it a reality, ordinary men and women endured what we could never understand. They may teach us about it in school. Nevertheless, could any of us today put ourselves in one of those situations? Imagine the eagerness for adventure in 1914, before anyone could comprehend what was about to happen. Imagine arriving on choppy beaches, to be welcomed by gunfire, a hail of bullets, and in a flurry of panic and death, salt air pungent with the metallic scent of blood, as your comrades fall around you, New Zealanders and Australians alike, and your cries, one of many, drowned out by the chaos around you. And you remember that last goodbye, that one last goodbye, to all that you love, to everyone and everything, miles away, across an ocean, in New Zealand. That last goodbye was your final goodbye. You don't know how many of your mates are still alive, where that bullet came from, or that a letter will soon be posted home to your family to inform them that you will never be returning. Can you imagine that? In a way, we can't. We can see it with our minds, but we will never feel it in our souls. War is far more than fighting to survive, taking the lives of a nameless enemy, going over top and dodging bullets, or watching the people around you change as the battlefield becomes a bloody tomb. Forces from Aotearoa, among many, have been washed into a flood of war, but we have never been drowned out. Whether it was 100 years ago or today, the memory remains. And so, we have the stories to remember. In the First World War alone, around 100,000 men signed up to leave New Zealand. But this isn't like today, where history has taught us of the consequences. No, this was where Britain called, and ordinary men, some no older than myself, showed who we are and what all Kiwis are proud to be. Strong and loyal, ready to stand up for righteousness. 100,000 men. And by the end of it all, 41,000 wounded. 18,500 dead. That's 18,500 letters posted home, explaining to heartbroken families why a father would never see his child again. Why a husband's chance to grow old was snatched away, and why a young man's future and aspirations were stolen. That's 18,500 New Zealanders. 836 of these casualties from the Battle of Passchendaele alone, where 3 members of my own family served. Although some brave, lucky soldiers did make it back. One of these men was Cyril Bassett, an ordinary Aucklander who left with the New Zealand Expeditionary Force on April 25th, 1915, soon to become the only soldier to be awarded the Victoria Cross for service in Gallipoli, for valour in the face of the enemy, for repairing broken lines, time and time again, as they were cut during the Battle of Chunuk Bair, time and time again, while under the constant fear that if you made one wrong move, it would be your last. Yet later, he humbly joked, I was just so short that the bullets passed right over me. After being wounded twice, recovering from illness, and surviving long enough to see the end, he returned to Aotearoa, no longer a New Zealander at war, but to resume an ordinary life until he went on to serve again in the Second World War. Cyril Bassett was one of 100,000 men. But whether it was the First or Second World War, Korea or Vietnam, our forces have made their presence known. So with all the graves dug and memorials built, we should see not a temporary name and monument, but a permanent history, a person, an idea, something and someone to be remembered. Gone, but not forgotten. It has been a century now since the outbreak of the First World War, and my generation can only hope that we never have to endure such pain. Around this time in 1916, girls my age were left to wonder if their fathers, brothers, or uncles would ever return. They were forced to grow up quickly and take on responsibilities, while their mothers often did a man's work in her husband's absence. And here I am, 16 years old, and my biggest concern is my next school assignment or finding my next comic book. But while the situations have changed, I can honestly say the Anzac spirit lives on. No, I can't fully identify with what those girls went through. Unless you've been in a war or experienced someone close to you having been under that same circumstance, it is almost impossible to do so. But I can feel the Anzac spirit of memory and pride. I can reflect on the bravery of those who came before me and be proud to remember them. As I learn to play the last post, as I walk in the dark to a dawn service, before the New Zealand flag our troops serve beneath, I can feel it in band practice as we ready our Anzac Day tributes. And it's not just us doing the remembering. Australia, Europe, all across the globe, events New Zealanders were involved in continue to inspire many. Swear I heard the angels cry, pray to God no more shall die, so that the people know the truth. Tell the tale of Passchendaele. Whether it is in contemporary music or a simple thought or gesture, we will never forget. The spirit of the Anzacs and of New Zealanders at war is present today in all of us. Haere rā, ko hoki mai anō, ki te tau e tangi atu nei. Farewell, but return again to your loved one weeping here. Thank you.